are no thrall. Vlaakith blesses me this day. Together, we might survive.
Greetings, I'm Stretch Horizons, and I'd like to welcome you to what's over the Vista today. Welcome to my channel, and to the story of my journey with a wonderful video game called Baldur's Gate 3. My channel is pretty young, and this game, at least in relative terms, is pretty old, going on 2 years in fact. For those two reasons, I'm not sure who exactly will see this. For all I know, you could have just stumbled upon this by accident, having no interest in gaming, or perhaps just not an interest in this type of game. Maybe you've been playing it since it came out and you want some more content from a fellow fan. Maybe you're just curious and taking a risk. I can relate to that last one. You see, I took a risk with Baldur's Gate, a Dungeons & Dragons game. At the time, D&D was a curiosity for me, and I had never experimented with any official content, only knowing it as a tabletop role-playing game that I never got around to doing more than gazing at with curiosity. All I knew for certain is that it was the talk of the town in late 2023, with all my favorite YouTubers singing its praises. So, I decided to roll the dice and try something new, not knowing that this game would be one of the best works of art I had ever encountered. It was a labor of love on the part of Larian Studios that would speak to me for years after I first played it, while acting as a positive influence in ways I never expected. Despite being a fantasy video game, Baldur's Gate 3 contains real-world lessons that we all can learn from. It's a game about how to be mighty. First off, I'll give you a general rundown of the bare minimum franchise details for people who are truly newcomers to BG3 and maybe even D&D, like I was not that long ago. If you'd like more, I've linked some helpful resources in this video's description box in the form of other YouTube channels, videos, websites, and articles that have not only acted as the research body for this project of mine, but were crucial for my own understanding of this fictional world as a total newbie not that long ago. In short, I can vouch for them. I love this game, and I want you to fall in love with it too by experiencing it for yourself, provided that you're a newcomer and not a veteran taking a trip down memory lane, that is. Now that you've had as much spoiler warning as one YouTuber can give you, let's dive in. What follows is the story of one of my many playthroughs of the game, and the lessons I took from it based on how I played. This video will work chronologically, but will mention information based on topical or thematic relevance. In other words, while we're discussing Act 1 of the game's 3-act structure, expect to hear information that's revealed in the late game, provided that it's relevant to the character or setting being discussed. Also, the footage is primarily from my second to last playthrough of the game, which was earlier this year, but I decided to deliver this narrative based on the revelations, experiences, and emotions of my second playthrough ever, nearly 2 years in the rearview mirror at this point. I did this for both effect and for practical reasons. Among the many factors impacting my decision, one is that the idea for this video and the reality of its creation would diverge from what I originally intended very drastically based on very recent and major real-life changes I've been going through. In so many words, a different person plus a lot of time and perspective change plus a busy life equals a very, very different video from the original vision I cooked up in late 2024. Still, this finished product should give you a solid picture of what BG3 means to me and what I learned from it. By way of quick overview, Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D for short, is a tabletop role-playing game. A kind of board game whose basic idea, in this case, is for you and your friends to design player characters that can explore a fantasy world of your making, fighting monsters, facing threats, and pursuing causes as moral or immoral as you and yours see fit. As a D&D game, Baldur's Gate 3 follows a similar principle, where you can build your own character from the ground up, or go with a pre-selected, aka origin, character. I chose the latter, picking from the available roster a figure known as the Dark Urge.
My rancid blood whispers to me, kill, kill, and kill again. My ruined body yearns to reap death in this world. And when this foul urge calls, it possesses my whole being. Injured beyond repair. I know nothing besides this. I must resist the dark urge, lest it consume my mind. I must discover who I was and what happened to me before my twitching knife hand writes a tragedy in blood.
I tweaked his appearance, named him after a key character from a TV show I like, and got started. Baldur's Gate 3 is the tale of how the attempt to resurrect a fallen alien empire impacts a group of terminally ill people seeking a cure in the famed and distant city of Baldur's Gate. The empire in question is that of the Illithids, better known in-universe and in popular culture as Mind Flayers. Mind Flayers aren't at all like the giant monster from Stranger Things you're probably thinking of. No, they're basically two-legged squids with immense psychic power and evil to match. The terminal illness in question is a consequence of the Mind Flayer's life cycle, which sees a victim infected with a small parasite called a tadpole that transforms the host and adds them to the Illithid ranks over a 3-day period. The story's companion characters, as well as the player, are infected individuals who crash land on a commandeered Mind Flayer spaceship onto the planet Abir Toril on the continent of Faerun, which is host to Baldur's Gate, though the trek there is long and will take up most of the game. Prior to the story's beginning, the Illithids were overthrown by the psychic power of an alien woman named Gith, the leader of a slave species called the Githyanki. With her powers supernaturally gifted at the price of her freedom, her son Orpheus, aka the Prince of the Comet, meant to inherit the throne and her power, but a usurper named Vlaakith stole his birthright and smeared his good name, imprisoning him in an artifact that siphons his powers. She became a goddess to the majority of her deceived people and cloned herself through the generations, with the 158th iteration being in charge at the game's start. Only a small resistance remains, hidden in the shadows. Meanwhile, the artifact has somehow found its way far from home. Act 1 sees us meet most of the major players while grasping key elements of the game's backstory. The main characters are as follows. We have the Githyanki warrior Lae'zel, a worshipper of Vlaakith 158. We have the amnesiac Shadowheart, a devotee of a goddess named Shar, aka the Lady of Loss. For reasons unknown, she had her memory suppressed by her order. She bears a magical Githyanki artifact that houses an entity known as the Dream Visitor, who forestalls what would normally be our group's abrupt transformation into Mind Flayers. She is tasked with delivering said artifact to her faith's people in Baldur's Gate. Next is Gale, an outcast from the city of Waterdeep and former lover of Mystra, the goddess of magic. He was exiled for returning what he did not realize to be a warped fragment of Mistral, the former incarnation of his love, which broke off during an assassination attempt. This act not only defied Mistra's will, but left the fragment embedded within him as a mutant corruption that drives him to magic addiction, a habit that we reluctantly feed to preserve his good spirits and, ultimately, his life, as the consequence of not feeding his addiction is a death that risks to take us with him.
As long as I absorb traces of the weave from potent enough sources, it remains quiet. Were it ever to fully destabilize, however. Rather worse, actually.
I will erupt.
I don't know the exact magnitude of the eruption, but given my studies of Netherese magic, I'd say even a fragment as small as the one I carry, it'd level a city the size of Waterdeep.
We are also joined by 2 escaped slaves. The first is Karlach, a tiefling barbarian who was trafficked as a child by a prominent Baldur's Gate politician named Enver Gortash. Despite her years of loyal service to the man, he sold her to the archdevil Zariel, who removed her heart, replaced it with a performance-enhancing piece of machinery called an infernal engine, and forcefully conscripted her into military service. We befriended her, helping her find materials to stabilize her artificial ticker, which was unstable due to being outside of its native environment. The other is Astarion, who was tricked into becoming a type of lesser vampire known as a vampire spawn by a sadistic vampiric noble named Cazador, who forced him to kidnap others who would meet a similar fate. He joined forces with a man named Will to fight a coalition of monsters and fanatics known as the Cult of the Absolute, which was laying siege to a religious enclave called the Emerald Grove, which is run by a community of magical shapeshifters known as Druids. The Absolutists worship the mentally linked, psychically enhanced tadpole-infected individuals as divine, calling them true souls. We helped Will make peace with Karlach, whom he was hunting under false pretenses by the Order of Mizora, his patron. Will is a type of magic user called a warlock. As warlocks owe their power to patrons, Mizora wields massive control over him by way of a supernatural contract and decides to punish him for breaching it by bestowing him with horns. Nevertheless, he stuck by his choice and made a lasting friendship with his former quarry. I acted as a good friend to him by pledging to save his kidnapped father, Duke Alder Ravengard, a major player in the upper echelons of Baldurian politics. Also, an entity named Withers, who has an axe to grind against our common enemies and the ability to raise the dead, joins our group and acts as our confidant and guide. So, that's a nice bonus. Among other positive deeds, I took a break to encourage a heartbroken singer named Alfira, who blessed me and my group with this lovely performance.
Dance upon the stars tonight, smile and pain will fade away. Words of mine will turn to ash when you call the last light down. Moon reminds me of your grace, all the love I can't repay. Rest and know that I will pray. Farewell, my dear old friend. Moon, sun, oh, remind me of your grace. Faith, care, all the love I can't repay. Moon, sun, oh, remind me of your grace. Faith, care, all the love I can't repay. Dance upon the stars tonight, smile and pain will fade away. Words of mine will turn to ash when you call the last light down. Moon reminds me of your grace, all the love I can't repay. Rest and know that I will pray. Farewell, my dear old friend. Dance upon the stars tonight, smile and pain will fade away.
Despite my attempts at kindness and goodness, I would learn that I was plagued by an inescapable inner darkness. That darkness was the source of my namesake, the Dark Urge, a killing impulse written deep into my being, one that caused me to take the life of an innocent visitor to our campsite. Such depravity was encouraged by Scleritas, a supernatural butler who seemed to know me. I rejected this course, came clean to the group, and was very cautiously forgiven by them as they passed the blame off to the tadpole, though something deeper and darker was taking place. Striving forward despite the tragedy, we aided a group of refugees in the Grove who, like our buddy Karlak, were members of the Tiefling race. We saved a child named Arabella from the scheming and attempted imprisonment of a bigoted elf named Kaga, the interim leader of the community. We launched a rescue operation that decapitated the leadership of the local absolutist presence, rescuing the rightful leader of the Emerald Grove, Archdruid Halson, who promised to help us seek a cure, thus joining our team. We threw a grand party with the refugees, and in the aftermath, I struck up a relationship with Shadowheart. Moving on in the new day, we pursued a cure among a local outpost of Githyanki people known as a Kresh. Lae'zel finds her kin suspicious and dismissive, more eager to kill her for being infected than to help her. As a gesture of good faith to her people, we returned the artifact and were permitted an audience with an astral projection of Vlaakith, whose treachery the group was none the wiser to at this point in the story. Acting on the Queen's orders, we entered the orb and, through it, the astral realm where the Dream Visitor lies, so as to kill the entity. Rather than follow through, we heard the visitor's side of the story and learned Vlaakith's lies. This is what happened when we returned.
Lae'zel, I've been waiting. You are named Hashalak. Bend your head, for my blade is ready.
Right, please, summon Vlaakith. There's much...
Irrelevant, Gake wretch. The Queen has spoken. Your death is decreed.
You realize what Lae'zel doesn't? Whatever the outcome of your visit to the Astral Prism, Vlaakith had no intention of letting either of you live.
After a desperate fight that we just barely scraped through, our hearts broke right along with Lae'zel as she grappled with the full weight of betrayal.
Vlaakith! Vlaakith! I have wielded your fury as a blade, roared your wrath as a dragon. You promised ascension. Yet I crawl among my own people, low as an asp's belly. Skageth! I followed your path. What good? This heart of stone, for it to be shattered. She tests me. A trial of faith. Kalir prepared me. Only the heaviest souls soar to the astral. Yes. Yes. I might gain Vlaakith's favor yet.
After escaping the Kresh, we returned to camp and heard the pleas of a rebel named Voss, who is loyal to the true heir, Prince Orpheus, and agreed to meet him in Baldur's Gate. After a detour in the underground realm known as the Underdark to free some enslaved deep gnomes and avenge slain fungal creatures called myconids, we made our way into the shadow-cursed lands, the next hurdle on our way to Baldur's Gate. Some of the game's most significant revelations occur in the second act. The shadow-cursed lands are home to three important areas: Moonrise Towers, the Thorm Mausoleum, and Last Light Inn. Moonrise Towers is the source of the True Soul Illithid outbreak and home of the infamous Absolute, and seat of leadership for the cult we've been following. The Thorm Mausoleum is the resting place of the deceased family of the indestructible elven general Ketheric Thorm, a major leader of the Absolutists, who is responsible for the shadow curse that plagues the land. Last Light Inn is a source of safety and home to the Tiefling refugees we helped in Act 1, as well as a heroic group of adventurers known as the Harpers, who were led by Jaheira. We received a blessing of protection from Isabel, a half-elf and follower of Selûne, the divine arch-nemesis of Shar, much to Shadowheart's chagrin.
Selûnite magic. Dark Lady, forgive me.
Good nose. Like a nasty little terrier.
We defended the inn from an attack launched by the forces of Moonrise Towers, shored up our protections through the help of a pixie, long story there, and proceeded to start our own journey to liberate the shadow-cursed lands. Among other activities, we reunited two separated halves of a local nature god, freed captive tieflings and deep gnomes, and liberated a former enemy named Menthara, who he promptly recruited with the promise of vengeance against the cult and its leaders, chief among them a woman named Orin the Red, the one who kidnapped and infected her. Apart from the events taking place at key locations, character moments featuring myself, Gale, and Shadowheart also played a major role in the story. Gale's addiction-fueling explosive fragment was stabilized by an old ally and current envoy of Mystra named Elminster, which endows the wizard with the ability to selectively and fatally detonate himself so as to kill the Absolute, a plan which we eventually talk him out of. My dark urge drove me to kill again, but Shadowheart convinced me to listen to my better angels, as it were, and the group accepted me once they understood the nature of my condition as an internally driven and involuntary impulse. Just as Shadowheart saw the best in us, we helped her see the best in herself as she made her way through a maze of Sharran religious trials called the Gauntlet of Shar, which took place in a secret chamber beneath the Thorm Mausoleum. You see, Shadowheart is meant to kill someone called the Night Song at the end of the trials, a mysterious entity that is what renders Thorm invulnerable through the unwilling siphoning of her immortal regenerative powers. Upon confronting this being, we learn that she is actually a knight named Dame Aelin, the daughter of Selûne, with the captive woman indicating that she had more info on Shadowheart's hidden backstory. The reluctant Sharran turns her back on the Lady of Loss, casting aside her would-be murder weapon and freeing the mighty Dame.
Our Lady of Silver, hear me. She who guides the Moon Maiden Selûne, mother of the so-called Night Song. The Night Song is no more!
Our heads held high, and with a new ally at our side, we joined the Harpers and marched on Moonrise. There, we learned that Thorm is actually Isabel's father, and that she died and was returned to life after her father pledged service to the god of death, Merkel. Further, the true nature of the Absolute becomes clear. It is not a god, but a powerful mind flayer in the form of a giant brain, and one that is controlled by ancient magical technology from a long-dead empire called Netherrealm, once ruled by a man named Karsus. This artifact, the Crown of Karsus, is controlled by proxy via items called Netherstones, with one in the control of each devotee of a different evil god. The shapeshifter Orin the Red, the indoctrinator of Menthara, is a sadistic mass killer and a follower of Baal, the god of murder. Bane's puppet is Gortash, who you will remember from early in the video as the monster who trafficked Karlach. The Merkelite servant is Thorm, who transforms into a monster we fight and beat.
Impossible. Death cannot take me. I am its master. My lord, hear me. Nothing. I am forsaken. You have no idea what you've done. Isabel.
The villain is dead!
Victorious, and with one of 3 stones in our possession, we returned to the conquered towers and resolved to head to the city with Minthara and Jaheira at our side. We reunited Isabel and Aelin, who it turns out were long-lost lovers. They returned to our camp and even joined our group, revealing key information to the newly deconverted Shadowheart, that despite spending her life hating Selûnites, she is the daughter of 2 Selûnites. Raised by the cult and falsely instilled with the belief that she was an orphan, she is shocked, but accepts the truth and resolves to save her family. I agreed to help and support her, and together our group made our way to Baldur's Gate. The enigma that is the Dream Visitor becomes untangled before we reach the city proper. Awoken from our sleep, our group was called into the astral prism by the entity via a portal created by the artifact. There, we learned that an illithid was helping us all along, that a mind flayer had disguised itself as the being that we had been interacting with. After saving it from a Githyanki attack, we learned that he was once a mortal human explorer who escaped the clutches of the Elder Brain after becoming infected, going on to be known by the nickname the Emperor. At present, he is dwelling within the artifact and siphoning the psychic power of a captive Orpheus to suppress the illithid mind control while preserving and enhancing our psychic powers. I chose to trust him enough to partially transform into a mind flayer, though I didn't push this on my teammates. Shaken and enlightened, we returned to the material plane to resume our central task. The city itself presents a vast and tangled gauntlet of activities. I don't think you want to wait an hour for me to finish dissecting all of them in detail, and I honestly don't want to do that either. Instead, I'm going to do a lightning round that hits the major events prior to a deep dive on the emotional high points of 4 characters, my version of the Dark Urge among them. We entered the city, solved a murder, and learned fairly quickly that yours truly, good old Sulco, was a son of the god of murder, Baal, and that the shapeshifter Orin the Red was my sister. The group, ever supportive and loving, though generally wary given my urge and its wicked cause, stuck by me as we sought an audience with Gortash, who we struck a tentative alliance with against Orin. We reunited Jaheira with her family and a long-lost friend named Minsk, going so far as to find work for the latter and add him to our party. We tried and failed to form an alliance with a dragon named Answer, gaining for our troubles little in the way of help, but much in the way of revelation. After killing the beast, we pressed the Emperor/Dream Visitor on details regarding statements Answer made, getting our illithid ally to admit that he is a transformed Balduran, the founder of Baldur's Gate. We rescued Will's father and helped the pair reconcile in an operation that freed the families of gnomish hostages belonging to a sect called the Gondians, who were being forced to work for Gortash in a factory that mass-produced the cybernetic monsters that constitute the Steel Watch, the guards, enforcers, and private police of Gortash. We also took the time to make peace between the Gondians and their enemies, the Iron Hands. We assassinated Loroakan, a mage who placed a bounty on Aelin, after looting a book called the Annals of Karsus from his library, gaining vital information on how to utilize and recreate the crown controlling the Absolute. This comes at the expense of what remains of Gale's relationship with Mystra, but Gale does not look back. We supported Lae'zel when Vlaakith astrally projected herself in a failed attempt to entice, verbally abuse, and cow her. We reconnected with Voss and pledged to join his cause in freeing Orpheus before duping a devil named Raphael into giving us a magical hammer capable of freeing the Prince of the Comet by signing a contract that said we would give our souls and the crown of Karsus, the artifact controlling the Elder Brain, to him. We broke into his house in Hell, destroyed our contract, worked with the personification of hope to kill him, and then returned to the material plane to take care of our remaining business. We were pretty gangster. That being said, fighting a literal devil was nothing compared to fighting our personal demons. For the remaining emotional moments, Shadowheart comes first. We tracked down her order, utterly annihilating the Sharn presence and leadership of Baldur's Gate, saving her parents at the cost of keeping a supernatural scar that causes her great pain, one bestowed by the Lady of Loss for coercive and sadistic purposes. Still, Shadowheart gets something in return that makes the pain worth it.
Doesn't look like anyone's been here in a while. Perhaps people lost faith. Or forgot about it. I wanted to come here. To see if I felt anything that I hadn't done before. Now that I know what I know. Now that I know who I am. I don't know. For so long I only felt what she wanted me to. Now I have to do it for myself, and I feel like I'm drowning. Very good thing. I don't know what I did to trick you into thinking I was worthy of you, but I'm glad it worked. I have my family back. And now I can't even look them in the eye. I don't deserve to be anyone's daughter.
That's not true.
Not even close.
I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to see me like this.
Alive? Free? Feeling? I've dreamt for years of seeing you like this.
Seeing you as yourself again, Jen. It kept us going all this time.
I can't be your Jennifer. Not as you remember her.
Of course you can.
No. I'd be turning my back on too much. Shadowheart is as much a part of who I am as Jennifer. I can't just forget her. That's not what I do anymore. Besides, Shadowheart still suits me. Even better than before, perhaps. You can't cast a shadow without some light. Don't worry. I'm still your daughter. If you want me to be.
I'll call you whatever you like, so long as you're happy. Now?
The Moon Maiden guides and helps us find our true selves. Shadowheart. Daughter.
Next is Astarion, whose confrontation with his former slaver and torturer, Cazador, results in the Master's long overdue death. Though tempted by the power the nobleman was accumulating, we talked Astarion into pursuing a more peaceful path where he freed the captives of his former tormentor's palace. That night, we had this interaction with him.
That's strange. Knowing I'll never hear Cazador's voice again. Knowing it'll never command me to bow against my will. I'm free from him. Forever. Invigorating. Terrifying. All of the above. I'm still trying to understand it, really. I came so close to losing everything back there. To losing myself. Back at the ritual, All I could see was the power on offer and the safety it promised. I was so blinded by it. Just as Cazador was. But you saw something in me. Someone else I could be. Someone who could break the cycle of power and terror that started centuries ago. You saved me back there. I may not have appreciated it at the time, but I do now. Thank you. So am I. Fun as all that power would have been, this feels more me. When I look at my future, anything and everything feels possible now. You saved me from myself and let me walk a new path where I can be free. Truly, honestly free. This is a gift, you know. Thank you. I won't forget it.
He's not the only one who can master his demons. Last but not least among our companions, we have Karlach. Despite our best efforts to stabilize her infernal engine throughout the game, her condition only got worse and worse. With our time in Baldur's Gate drawing to a close, we embarked on a mission to take down Gortash and his fort.
It's hard to keep a good woman down, isn't it, Karlach?
I don't know. You managed it for a solid decade.
I never meant to harm you, dear. Merely to help you realize your vast potential.
You sent me to the hells. You let Zariel take my heart, as though any of it was yours to give away.
The greater good, Karlach. Something I wouldn't expect you to understand.
You feel no regret, do you? All right. How about fear, then?
Oh, you do quite misunderstand. I've already made a deal with your companion. We need each other.
Do we now?
You ought to reconsider. Divided, the Elder Brain will create an illithid army, yourself included in its ranks. Together, we can tame it. I'm sorry you feel wronged by how things ended between us all those years ago. But now, we must look to the future.
You make it sound like we were lovers. Or friends. But that wasn't it. I trusted you. I respected you. It was my job to protect you, and that's what I did. I was so young. I didn't recognize evil when I saw it. When you turned on me, I was too dumbstruck to realize what was happening. No way he'd hurt me, I thought. You betrayed me for reasons I still don't quite understand. But I suppose evil has no real cause. It just is. Until it isn't.
You utter brat. You're going to burn this place down.
Good.
No, you have to stop her. Do it, now! This city is mine!
After a great battle, we crushed him, and this was Karlach's reaction.
So Gortash is nothing more than a pile of flesh? Same as the rest of us. I don't feel like I've won. All I feel is tired. Is that it, then? Killed the bastard who ruined my life, and now I crawl into a corner and die? Am I fucking missing something? It makes no sense. None of it means anything. He's dead. And he's no fucking sorrier now than he was before. What was the point? I'm still dying. I'm dying. I'm going to die. Don't say that. Say you found some way to fix me. That now Gortash is dead, I'll get my heart back. My heart. It was mine. And they took it. I'm going to be as dead as Gortash any day now. Any moment. And what then? Off to the City of Judgment to waste into oblivion? Into the dirt to get eaten by maggots? Is that it for me? Is that fucking all? And you'll just keep going, won't you? Watching the stars, warming your hands on the campfire, dancing, eating, making fucking love all night. All of it, all of it! That's my reward for everything I suffered. That's why I survived 10 years of torment. The fighting, the clawing, the loneliness, the fucking loneliness. All of it so I could rot. Because the person I trusted the most gave me away to the devil. It isn't fair. I don't want it like this. You could try. You got a wish spell in that pack of yours. What the fuck am I supposed to do now? You do it. I'm tired. Let's get out of here. I've always hated this place. Stupid fucking gigantic bridge or whatever. I think I need to go to camp for a while. Be alone. Scream at the sky. You can come and find me later if you want to. Thanks for listening. For existing. Love you.
Our hearts broke, but Karlach was strong for both herself and us.
Hey, soldier. You're back. Yeah, despite my best efforts. I kept trying to flop over and give up, but Karlach just won't let me. Did I miss anything important? Nothing out of the ordinary then. You know, soldier, we're so fucked. The Dark Three are trying to consume the Sword Coast. We've still got tadpoles in our eyes, and I've got a ticking time bomb in my chest. I'm not sure anyone has ever been more fucked than this. And yet, we're fine. In this moment, we're fine. Here I am. There you are. Breathing, talking, even laughing if we want. Is it very precious to say that despite it all, I'm happy? In that case, there's something I wanted to ask you. Will you stay with me when it's time for me to go? I think I can do anything if you're there. Even die. Thank you. Now, enough tragedy. I'm not gone yet, and our schedule is packed with important heroics, isn't it? Plus, if I cry any more, I'm gonna run out of tears and start leaking motor oil. Thanks for everything, soldier. I'm extremely glad to be in this thing together.
Through her character, her smile, her kindness, and her resilience, Karlach showed us that even mortality can't conquer a strong spirit backed by true friends. I would need to keep that in mind for what came next. Our close friend, Druid Halson, was kidnapped as leverage by Orin. We tracked her down to her hiding place at the temple of our father, Baal. With Minthara at our side, and armed with information stolen from her father's hideout before we took him down prior to arriving, we confronted our long-lost sister.
The tale of my first kill? Amazing.
Look, your savior approaches. See how it crawls towards us? Not a dream now. No, it is blood and bone. Carrying the tyrant's rock. But Saravok's crimson was not yours to spill. He was mine. You had no right to take him. Did it think it could protect? Did it think it could save? Only the blades can offer salvation. You do not lie, underling. It is your blood I am destined to spill. Your death spit will stain these walls, little lamb. You still don't remember, do you, bloodkin?
How you screamed as my knife slit your skull. Your brain juices, sticky and sweet. A little hole, big enough for the worm. Your body, a blood sack to feed it. The favorite of Baal turned meat puppet, strung up by the sinews and plucked by my hands.
Straggling memory rises. Day your tyranny should have engulfed this world. It was you who were the first to be enslaved. Orin's smile was the last thing you saw, her bright blade glinting as she chiseled into your skull. Her reckless digging left your mind shattered. She robbed you of your bloody birthright, reduced you to nothing. Nothing but pure hate. And now it burns, yearning for vengeance.
Husk, maggot, a Baal spawn, slip sliding in filth with these pigs. You don't deserve the Murder Lord's blessing. No! He didn't! Filthy, pig-mouthed little liar! Grandfather loved me. He worshipped me. These petty smearings will not save you. Not him. Not him! I did all this for him! Everything! Everything!
No, Orin. You did this for me.
Father... They lie to me! They lie!
Hush, child. No more doubts. No more fears. No more Orin. Become murder.
You should have trained harder, Master.
After a death-defying match, we prevailed in battle, gaining as our reward an audience with Baal himself. Speaking through the ruined corpse of our butler, he tempted me with power and demanded we become his chosen, his eternal servant. I refused.
You refuse me. You are my spawn. Your veins course with my unholy blood. Your life is mine. Accept your inheritance, or I will reclaim it. You were made to conquer, to devour. You reject my blood, and so I will reclaim it. I will make another who is worthy.
For the first time in over a century, silence falls over the Baal temple. No chants, no screams, no prayers. In the end, your own death brought you more joy than any you wrought on this land. You are slipping into peaceful oblivion. But your journey is not over.
Thou hast defied Baal, thy liege and father, and in doing so hast earned a place among champions and heroes. But alas, thy courage was in opposition to the divine cosmology that bound thee to the Lord of Murder. Thou art now faithless, godless, and doomed to wander the fugue plane for eternity. I will not permit that, though all the powers of life and death dictate that it should be so. I, too, still hold some power, and I invest a portion of it in thee, who hath challenged the gods and now liveth to tell of it. Thy fight is not over, and it is thy fight. For one who can look upon Baal and oppose him can survive any crisis. So rise, challenger of gods, and prepare for battle once more. Death will not claim thee whilst I endure. I can only give what thou hast earned. Baal tried to extinguish thee, but his wrath is imprecise. He only succeeded in killing the part of thee he knew. The urge that drove thee to terrible acts, the spark of brutality that made thee his. But there is a new part of you that hath grown during thy travels. That part Baal could not extinguish, and so, instead of destroying thee, he hath made thee anew.
I'd be worm food if it wasn't for you. Thank you.
The heart of a savior hath overshadowed the mind of a murderer. Thou hast vanquished thine urge. I know all
But to state truths is to interfere, for the minds of mortals are easily swayed. My place, for the most part, is to observe. This intervention, the reclamation of thy soul, is beyond mine ordinary remit, but thou art extraordinary, and so are these times. Today thou art born anew. Greet the bloodless dawn, child of none. Do not thank me. Trust in thy courage and the conviction of thy companions. As it was, so it is again. A hero has risen from a legacy of death.
With our urge vanquished, Minthara avenged, Halsin rescued, and the final netherstone in our hands, we made our way back to camp. The best line in Baldur's Gate 3 comes out of nowhere. Among the general well wishes and congratulations of my friends, I finally made my way to Lae'zel of Kalir, my warrior companion, a fierce woman who has taken many lives, one known as much for her resilience as her harshness, had this to say.
You have vanquished the Slayer, as I knew you would. You are strong. You are mighty. You are you.
I can't describe to you how this made me feel. When I first played this game and heard this line, I leaned back in my chair, stunned. I put my hand over my heart and stayed quiet for a solid minute as I reflected on those words over and over and over again. You are powerful. You are mighty. You are you. I heard that line 2 years ago and haven't stopped repeating it to myself since. It's become a mantra for me. Baldur's Gate 3 has this beautiful ability to use lines of dialogue delivered by fictional characters in a made-up world to make the real you in the real world actually feel better. When I'm dealing with some heartache or anxiety or self-worth issue, or even if I was just trying to be the best version of myself, I would repeat this line and it would give me the extra kick I needed to get through the task ahead. Because of this line, because of its delivery and its message, I've been able to dig deeper than I ever thought I could as I've worked to battle my own dark urges of sadness and self-doubt, that tendency of mine to let an abusive inner monologue win. In real life, we never completely beat our dark urges, but we can find and remember and believe in our inner strength so that we're equal to the challenges that life has to offer. This video game line, while from a fictional story and work of entertainment, has helped me more than words can express or a video essay can capture. And hey, with the strength of that line, humbling a psychic god was small beans. We tracked the Absolute down to its lair adjacent to the Temple of Baal. We found that it was impervious to our attacks, as it had transformed into something the Emperor called a netherbrain due to its prolonged exposure to the Netherese magic of the Crown. It taunted us by revealing that it had orchestrated everything from our Illithid allies' release to my own piece of the puzzle in the broader plot as the architect of the Crown's theft, one that has backfired with its newfound and long-planned freedom. We were first to retreat to the Astral Realm, where we used the Astral Hammer to free Orpheus, causing the Emperor to defect to the side of the Absolute when we rejected his plan to assimilate the Prince of the Comet. Already on Death's Door, as the result of her decaying infernal engine, Karlach volunteered to become Illithid, endowing her with the power to wield the stones and vanquish the Absolute. Oddly enough, this saved her life and rendered the engine in her chest no more than an irrelevant accessory. We then returned to the material plane, rendezvoused with the Githyanki rebels and the rest of our allies, and prepared to liberate an Illithid-besieged city from the tyranny of the mutant brain. The most brutal fighting the realms had seen in living memory ensued as we hacked and slashed our way through the upper city, felling hordes of cultists and alien monsters as we closed distance with the commanding creature's brainstem. Battered, but resilient, we climbed the brain and initiated our final showdown with the Emperor, its master, and the last and best of the Illithid-aligned forces. They didn't stand a chance.
No more tadpoles, brain. It's time to die.
My master. I must obey. I must end.
Hopes, nightmares, and the screams of legions upon legions of unborn Illithids. The pain rips through you, obliterating all thought, all feeling. Your tadpole burns in your brain. Silence. Free of urge and worm, your brain is battered and bruised. But it is yours. Yours at last. You and Shadowheart found your peace in a country farmstead with a pack of pets and a garden of night orchids. You were basking beneath the silver moon after a midnight swim one night when you notice a letter among your discarded clothes. An invitation to a gathering of the friends and allies who stood by your side in the fight against the Absolute. You waste no time in packing and set off on the long road back to where all of your adventures together began.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute. Tonight, fate renews thy bond once more. Thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
In the 6 months that followed, Shadowheart and Silco moved in and started living their best lives together. Our group is doing well, with the most heartwarming tale of all coming from Astarion.
I decided not to be defined by the choices other people made, by what other people did to me. My past may be done, but my present, my future, they're mine. This is who I am, in all my glory, for better and for worse.
The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. Thou played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready, for thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you.
On that note, one of the best and most moving games I have ever played drew to a close. When I started this project nearly a year ago, it was a generic video about a game I liked. Its biggest point was some cringy comparison between the Absolute and the evils of our world, and if we fight the Absolute, then we should fight against injustice in the real world, yada yada, you know, ill-informed, poorly thought out slop like that. But I've changed so much since I started this project that the project itself had to change with it. In short, I wanted to dig deeper and say something more meaningful. I wanted to catalog my time and best experiences with a game that had a major impact on shaping who I am as one chapter of my life draws to a close and another one opens up. Above all else, I wanted to use this essay to thank and encourage those who matter to me, namely my family, the good people over at Larian Studios, and whoever happens to stumble upon this video. This game, and the line of dialogue that is the subject and namesake of this video, wasn't the only reason I made this. It's far from the only thing that's had a hand in my growth, thriving, or stability as of late, but it was a key piece of a broader mental and emotional healthcare puzzle, and I wanted to acknowledge that. So, Larian, I tip my hat to you for making one of the greatest works of art I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing. The excellence of your writing and quest design, the sheer fun of your gameplay mechanics, and the beauty of your take on the forgotten realms of Dungeons and Dragons has provided me with countless hours of entertainment, all the while pulling my heartstrings and helping me out on a personal level. Thank you so much to Devora Wild for playing my favorite character in the game oh so well. You are truly an actor of immense talent, and your skill and conviction in delivering your lines brought Lae'zel to life and took the entire game to the next level. Sincerest luck and well wishes with your career going forward. Thank you to my family for putting up with me talking about this game since late 2023.
Mother's milk.
Your patience and understanding are commendable. Don't worry, your suffering is over. Lastly, I want to thank everyone who's watching right now. This game teaches us that being mighty is about not giving in to fear. By not isolating yourself, by finding worth in yourself and others, by facing evil head on, by reaching out and finding strength in those around you, you too can conquer the demons you're dealing with and lift others up too. My journey with Baldur's Gate 3 is over. Before I move on, I just wanted to let you know what I learned along the way as we prepare to explore the connections between new works of art and the real-world lessons they hold. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, if you ever feel yourself being consumed by grief, or anger, or loneliness, or sadness, or self-doubt, or any other negative thought or feeling, just remember, you are powerful. You are mighty. You are you. Thank you. All right, everybody. That was my first serious video essay. More content is on the way, hopefully sooner rather than later. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I want to give some special thanks and acknowledgements to those whose work has helped me complete this project. Thank you to Alex Jade for designing the thumbnail for this video. Y'all have no idea how good it feels to have an actual artist throw their support behind one of your projects. Alex's info is in the description. Do yourself a favor and go check out their work. They're ridiculously talented and a joy to work with. Thank you to Noah Caldwell-Gervais, Baron DeRopp of Dungeon Masterpiece, AJ Pickett, Thought Potato, and Jordan for expanding my foundational knowledge of D&D, taking me from a franchise novice to franchise buff with their work. Jordan in particular has a mountain of comprehensive lore videos and playlists, so I just cited his whole channel. Go do yourself a favor and check out his videos and the work of everyone else I mention here. Thank you also for the video contributions of Mortismal Gaming, Ghost Charm, Dungeon Cast, Riches and Liches, Ed Greenwood, and Max Durat for additional clarification and context on the Forgotten Realms and beyond. Very best, y'all, and I can't wait to journey with you over the horizon next time.